Hi. So this is not a true story. This is fictionalized, but it's based on situations I've heard over the past. It's not as funny as the previous story. It's not funny at all, actually. But I hope you get something from it. So again, this is from my upcoming book titled You, Me, and the Rest of Us, New York Stories. The story title is called Soft. Peter never imagined that bare knuckles alone could cause so much damage to the human face. He'd seen plenty of violent TV shows and action movies, but had only a faint idea of the ugliness that a really strong punch created. He once saw the puffy, closed right eye of an MMA fighter while channel surfing on Sunday night. What he was looking at now, however, was something entirely different. It was Karen who had been hit. It was he who'd hit her. In the dim afternoon light of his bedroom, Peter saw the vivid detail of what a punch could do, and there was no suited announcer to separate him from the reality of the scene. He stared at Karen as she lay on the floor, remorseful and crying, and he could see the skin on her cheek was torn slightly by the force and friction of his fist. She swelled right before his eyes. With each second, her jaw filled with fluids that caused a sad-looking asymmetry in the face of the girl Peter said that he loved. She whispered, "I'm sorry," over and over again, as tears fell down her face and mucus from her nose ran into her mouth. He hit her at a reflex more than anything else. Earlier, the two had been in Peter's bed. With his parents out of town for the weekend, they indulged in awkward teenage sex. Still figuring out the contours of their own body, Karen and Peter kissed and rubbed in out-of-sync rhythms that they weren't old enough to feel embarrassed about. Energy spent, they giggled without much self-reflection and lost themselves in Peter's sheets, panting. After a few quiet moments, their breathing normalized, and Peter stated, as well as questioned, "You still have your socks on?" Karen looked down and they both laughed. "It was a little cold in here. You want to put on the thermostat higher, baby?" She turned to him with an all-encompassing sweep of her eyes and lovingly took in all his facial features. Peter recognized Karen's longing as she said, "Nah, I'm warm now." He kissed her forehead and went back to playing with her loose, curly hair as she reached over to take her socks off. She threw them across the bed with the lid on his pants, which before the sex had landed on his chair. From his peripheral view, Peter could see that Karen's gaze moved from socks to pants and then stayed there as she lay her head sideways on his chest. For a moment, Peter thought that her focus was on his jeans stemmed from his inadequate performance, but he dismissed the idea as soon as he thought of it. Karen got more out of their sex than he did, and she told him so in a roundabout way a couple of months before. She said that feeling him beside her was, quote, like home. He wasn't sure what that meant, but from what he did know, it was obvious that Karen hated her actual home and made every effort to avoid being there, sometimes even hiding in Peter's room so his parents wouldn't suspect an overnight guest. Though he saw her father briefly when they were still freshmen at Buffalo, her mother lived in the city, and he met her enough times to find her pleasant. On one occasion, he asked Karen about her need to always be out. It was during one of her secret sleepovers. Instead of answering him, she said something vague about him not knowing everything, and then pulled his pants down to avoid answering his question. Laying back on his bed that night, Peter noticed the sobs that Karen tried to muffle, but he heard anyway. It was with that same hunger for home that Karen slowly rubbed her hands over Peter's flat stomach, trying to avoid looking at his jeans. Peter knew, if only unconsciously, that having him around made Karen feel healed somehow. But as she rubbed his body, trying to stitch together hidden wounds, she just couldn't look away from his pants. Eventually she said, "Peter, some of your clothes are just so sloppy. You don't have to buy them 2 sizes bigger." He chuckled. "That's just what I'm comfortable wearing. I like my skin to breathe." "I guess." "Well, at least your pants don't hang off your ass. If they did, I would never have talked to you." "If that's what you say, I remember you looking at me all in my face at Joni's party." She lifted her head off his chest to look at him with a slight smile and wide open eyes. "Oh, really? That's what you think?" "Uh-huh. I was looking at you. I was thinking to myself, why does this guy's t-shirt sleeve go past his elbow? Does he need help dressing himself? Whatever." His cheery look disappeared at the slight jab. "Aw." She kissed him on his cheek. "You know you're sexy. Let's go shopping together next week or something." That's the second time I've heard you say that. Babe, I like to wear what I like to wear. It's my style. And I don't think you try to change me. I'm not trying to change you. I love you. But how you present yourself sometimes is a little... She searched for the right word. Rough? Not sure if she had found what she was looking for. Karen hopped out of bed and walked around to the closet, which was closer to Peter's side. She opened his door and said, Baby, you live a few streets away from the Guggenheim. Your parents own half a block in Brooklyn. Your neighbors examined my skin when we lived the building together. You come from money. So, you have to look like you're living in a rap video. Peter's calm, brought on by his orgasm, was being replaced by an uncomfortable tenseness. He looked at Karen as she stared into his closet with an expression of disappointment. The corners of her mouth were tight and stretched sideways. Like this shirt. It's straight out of a BET video. Now you sound silly. You're not black and half Seneca. But that doesn't mean I have to wear what TV says brown people wear. And it's weird that you're white and you think you have to. She slipped on one of his t-shirts. Its neckline reached the shoulders of her slight frame and hung off her body like it was a hanger, or she was a hanger. Her breast created small curves in the otherwise slight drop the fabric made down to her knees. I feel like I'm wearing a tent. Take off my shirt, Karen. I will. Just trying to show you how silly this stuff can look. Unless you're trying to be like some kind of street guy. Peter slowly got off the bed. He looked Karen in the eyes and said, Cut it off. Cut it out. Take it off. I will. She turned to her left to look at the mirror that hung from the inside of Peter's closet door. Hunching her shoulders slightly, Karen made a scowl and said to herself, Yo, son, I'm K-Dog. I'll fuck that ass up and try to pull that bullshit on me. I ain't the one. I ain't a punk. Peter's face lost all expression as a patchwork of images from his past forced themselves together in his head. He remembered getting punched in the chest by a middle school bully over unintended insults. Getting his watch, a gift from his father, stolen from him coming late home from the movies one night. Feeling shunned by peers for liking the wrong kinds of clothing. Peter began to rage as he remembered times when he cried himself to sleep about bruises and his inability to fight back when his manhood was questioned. Still talking to the mirror, Karen said, I ain't soft. Again, in a move that was more reflex than anything else, Peter quickly pulled his arm back, made a fist as hard as he ever had, and landed it on Karen's right side of Karen's face. She was lifted off the ground, hit the wall a few feet away, and collapsed on the floor. Not quite unconscious, she put her hand on her face in shock as her eyes shifted left to right, looking for the reason for the sudden attack. Peter could see her eyes stop moving as she came to her own conclusions about his reasons for striking her. She began to cry. In a low, hushed voice said, I was just joking. I'm sorry. I was just joking. I'm sorry, Peter. She repeated the words over and over again as Peter looked down at her. He was also in shock over what had just happened, but his face was still void of expression and his fists were still balled up as tight as he felt the rush of emotions, a mixture of shame, strength, power, and repulsion. Peter would apologize for hitting Karen. She would accept it. She would lie to people about what happened to her face. He would tell her that he loved her. She would need to believe it. She would believe it. He would hit her again.